Diaries of a Pastor's Wife with Lady Jem.
Welcome, everyone. I am Lady Jem, and I am happy to be back with you guys and excited that I have my best friend, my partner through life, my husband, Pastor Solera Arman Jr. And it's been a minute. It's been since December that I have recorded anything, and we as a family have experienced one of the greatest loss I think imaginable. Well, for us, some other people may feel different, but as a collective, a lot of people are agreeing that when you lose a child, um, that is one of the greatest loss, and it's out of order in our minds and our brains, and we are struggling, to be honest, and trying to make it just 1 hour at a time. I can't say just day by day. 1 hour at a time, but we lost our precious son. Um, and he wasn't just our son, but he was a friend. He was a confidant. He was a father. He was a husband. Um, he was a brother. And he was, grandson, uncle. But he was just an awesome individual. And he had a heart of gold. And we did not see it coming. And me myself, and I'll let my husband speak for himself, but I'm struggling with God's decision, to be honest, and I'm trying to remain faithful. um, I I don't think that I'm angry at God. I think I'm angry that it had to be Him. Um, and I wanted to get on here because I'm sure that there are, other parents and people that understand this struggle. Um, Albeit that our son, when he was 27, but he was just full of life, full of joy, um, and he would give you the clothes off his back, you know. And um, he the way he lived his life was an example for me that I really need to step it up. And I thank God that he was a man of God. I'm gonna say was, is, and he loved God, and he didn't play. Um, yep, but so that's I wanted to get on here just to be real, to be raw, not to sit up and fake the funk like that oh, God is just he's just an on time God, and got my Bible and I'm just happy and skipping and running. No, that's not where I'm at. Um, and the struggle, like to say, the struggle is real, and I think that a lot of people will try to gloss over things and they want to give you the end, but it's like, what happens after you get the news? What happens when you're depressed, or you're anxious, or you feel like you just can't get out of bed. Um, and I think that we need to be real. We tried, and we have lived a life of keeping and trying to put God first. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna shut up, and I'm gonna let my husband um, talk, because I don't want to put my feelings and my emotions on him. He has his own, and I think everybody is grieving differently through this. So, Pastor Solera Armand Jr., Solera, my husband. So that's that's my baby. Go ahead, babe. You can speak for yourself on just how you're feeling, and if you're struggling with anything, and do you feel like there's a lot more pressure on you and all eyes on you, being that you're a pastor, and seeing how you um, are grieving? Almost like people got a box to check for: is he grieving correctly? Has he cried? Has he done this? So go ahead.
Well, thank you, first and foremost, Lady Joy, for inviting me on to Diaries of a Pastor's Wife podcast. I believe wholeheartedly that you're a woman of the Most High, and that you're doing very important work here. We want you all to take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It's very important. Listen, I've gone through a system of mantras, so to speak, and I've gone through an array of deflections because, yes, I'm still suffering, still in pain. Hasn't been a long period of time. Still immensely sad. And we trust the Father, and I trust in His promises. Paul the Apostle wrote in his first letter to the assembly at Corinth, chapter 10, verse 13, and no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful, Paul states. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. I believe that applies to trials and tests and sufferings, not just temptations, which a lot of people can interpret as something that is lustful or something that the flesh desires. Lord knows that the flesh nor the spirit desires this. Our son was a light, and it's as if a light has gone out in the world, and it hasn't just impacted my wife and myself and my two daughters and our daughter-in-law and our grandchildren. There's people that were impacted that Solera had relationships with, that he worked with, that he ministered with, that he played gigs with. There's a handful of them that came around during the initial impact of everything, and they're still here with us because we're all just left struggling. And we thank you all who are praying, and we thank the people that are not saying, all right, it's done, when they gonna get over this. We listen to your messages every week, and it's included in the messages. We don't know how you deal with this. This is out of order. This is not successive. In the middle of our progress, in the middle of our hope, our only son was taken away. So I've been talking a lot about holding the Most High to His promises, and the way that the scripture verse that I quoted has been made colloquial over time is that He won't put more on you than you can bear. I think it was good brother Kirk Franklin and God's Property, that classic record, where they sang, now what has become one of Brother Franklin's anthems. He'll never put more on you than you can bear. And we're praying that under the weight of this, that we can stand, because we are truly being tested.
So, as a pastor, do you ever get the feeling that people are watching to see how you're going through this process? I mean, for me, I sometimes I feel like, all eyes are on me, and it's like, people are, I'm not gonna say judging, but they're very watchful, and it's just taking in, and it's like the pressure to make sure that you represent God the correct way. It feels like people are wanting you to grieve a certain way, or process this a certain way. Do you feel that? Or
Yes, people are people.
Yeah.
So that's going to run the gamut. You're going to have every color, every stripe. You're going to have the pendulum swing between near total understanding to people that, in fact, will feel like that there's a timeline, and that if you exceed that timeline, that there's somehow a poor representation of the faith. People haven't all out and out said it, and it could be some of the paranoia and paranoid aspects that come with grief. But yeah, you definitely feel like people are hoping to be inspired somehow, that we come out almost bulletproof and enamored and with "he's able" on continuous loop.
Yeah.
And I don't want to false accuse anyone, but it certainly seems, I think, and if we can say this for people who have suffered like things, or we're in the circle of life, people who have yet to endure or experience something like this, but who knows, it may be in their destined path. I don't wish this on my worst enemy. But people, there's a hopeful feeling because that I sense, because the quicker that we overcome, and some of it I estimate and speculate in my pondering, is because, I don't want to make it feel like sometime in these podcasts or whatever like that, everything is the enemy. People are the enemy. The enemy is the enemy. The caterpillar crawling on the ground is the enemy. Sometimes the closest people that love you the most are the most hopeful, but that hopefulness can come across as insensitive. It can come across as premature. It can come across as even inappropriate, because, and none less to say awkward. They hope the best for you.
Yeah, they want you to be all right.
Yeah.
And they love you, but it's like, okay, how you doing today?
Yeah.
The same as I was yesterday, But they want to take the suffering and kind of get you back to where you used to be. And I don't know if you agree or not. I'll never be.
There's no going
who
back.
I was.
There's no going back. That's gone.
Yeah.
That's gone. There's a recently turned 5-year-old and a soon to become 2-year-old. Birthday is on Father's Day. Who have to grow up without that light. So we're in a new path, and we just recently come back from, I guess, what you can call what's supposed to be a respite or vacation excursion. And I'm going to be honest, if you don't mind, Joy, and I'm going to tell the listening audience and the watching audience, you can not want to abandon faith, not want to abandon the people that you love, but it can be a temptation to abandon. And that, to me, is a sign that nothing will ever be the same, because you can have a intrinsic desire, not necessarily to run, but to just start writing the script from something completely brand new, um, in a different place, in a different time, because nothing is the same. And it's almost like, I'm sorry,
No,
but it's
no,
it's almost like
yeah.
you might as well just move on with something else, because it does no good and it can be tormentful.
Yeah. So wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I just want to, because it's like almost starting over where nobody knows your name.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what you have been through, or you run it. You know where we're at. We run into people we know all the time. And it's like you're rehashing and you're reliving that pain. Um, because it is, and it goes, even people that don't know you that well want to give their condolences, and,
Yeah.
and I mean, and that's fine. I appreciate it. I'm sure my husband appreciates it. But when you can just pick up and move to somewhere where nobody knows you, or knows anything about you, and then you can start over. It's not that we're not forgetting our son, but it just doesn't seem as painful, because you don't have all of the reminders everywhere you look, everywhere you turn. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't
No,
know.
I
If
agree.
that's, yeah,
I agree. And all of and then you end up moving in and out of guilt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't know whether how you're feeling is correct, and you move in and out of not really caring what people think.
Yeah.
And I want to answer this early. Not that we're on the precipice of breaking down, or our love breaking down, or leaving one another, but I want to tell you all, to some aspect, even with regards to our children, and what they're going through and how they feel, dramatic, and it doesn't matter the age. A lot of times on television you watch small children and people think, and they deal with the statistics of losing unexpectedly a young child, and that puts a strain oftentimes on relationships where they don't last. Listen, he was 27, he was a grown man, but all of us as a family dynamic, myself, Lady Joy, and our two daughters, there's moments where, I'll just put it this way, we love one another, but the parameters of wanting or desiring or wishing that there was something new, or new ground, or unfamiliar territory, it has impacted us also. That's true. The strain that it can put on your loving relationships or whatever like that. And that's why it's so important to come on here and talk about, in the middle of everything, still working to trust the Most High.
Yeah.
Because, it's times and days where you don't want to be bothered with anyone, and it's tough, because the very moments where you wish and hope for isolation, and that's why the desire for a new place and something different can be so heavy at times, because your worst day, can be your most burdensome day, whether it's the job,
Well, I
whether
mean,
it's
even
responsibilities.
in ministry. I mean, you being a pastor and me being your wife, we are almost required to be kind of on it and giving. All we do is give, 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 give. But seldom do we get anything in return. And I'm not talking about like financial. I'm not talking about anything that you can touch, feel. But who's pouring into the pastor and his wife and his family? Instead of looking for, like, I had said to somebody, I'm like, we are so used to giving that in our darkest time, which is like now, we are people are like requiring us to comfort them in their grief of losing our child. And it's like I I only have this much to give anymore. Um, but it's like people are just they need what they need, they want what they want, and I think I don't if how do we get to the point where we can grieve or just be poured into rather than always pouring out as a the vessel. You're not getting poured into, you're pouring out, and you're giving, give. And you ask God for strength, but is there a point that you just don't have anything else to give? Where does the tank run dry?
Well, and then at the same time, I would never try to censor you. It's not possible anyway. But it would. Some people will interpret this as a complaint, and it will create distance. Sort of happened directly after. Listen, people gonna go back to life because life goes on, and we're not delusional with regards to that. But one of my good brothers and Dr. Davenport, who was officiant, I'm not blaming you, Jason, but he asked for some space directly after the memorial, and some people interpreted that as don't bother them, and we haven't heard from him since.
Yeah, it was read. I think it was given to him. The direction was given to him incorrectly.
Okay.
Or maybe he just didn't understand it, because it was like, I just wanted everybody to understand that we didn't want everybody after the service, like, that wasn't immediate family coming to the house. You know what I mean? The house it's been packed since
it was pretty
the day that my son departed this hellish earth. But what had happened was, I think that how you tell a secret in somebody's ear, that game, and you pass it along, and so by the time it ends up, you're like, well, what did it say? And it's like they said the whole totally wrong thing. So he was supposed to just say that we're asking that after the service today, just if you allow just like the family to convene together. Our house is only but so big, so it's like if everybody came, was my thinking that if everybody came, it would be too much. Like there's nowhere to park, and that's what I was thinking. But by the time he said it, it came out totally different.
And once again, we love Pastor Davenport and his support.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to throw him under the bus, but it's just like, you walk this line, and that's even a good point, because you walk the line between support and what you need, understanding, and those that the Most High have called in a particular way. And I'm not saying nobody has, because there's been people, even a part of the Exact and Truth congregation, that has been royal and loyal. But it's like, if I can say it, I don't want to put it in Lady Jim's mouth, but if I can speak from my point of view, addressing what she's attempting to articulate, is that those that have been called and assigned for moments such as these, who don't have their own extraneous burdens, let the Lord use you. I mean, even at the same time, because it's not, people have been generous. It's not a thinly veiled plea for like resource or whatever like that. It's just how we've had to understand being in a position of being leaders amidst the body of the Christ. And then once again, this unique situation is that this boy was a light to this world. So without a whole lot of prompting, it wasn't just the immediate family where an extension of "I'm sorry for your loss" is something that's valid. It's been valid for all parts of the world that this boy touched. So some of how we've had to outreach, even being in pain, however inadvertent, it's just been something that's unavoidable. But at the same time, it's just, I'll reiterate that, and then I'll get off that point. It's like if God has called you to pour in whatever manner, and it's Him, then don't feel standoffish, because we need all of the prayer, and we need the support. And yeah, when you attempt to like lead people, when you care about people for real, when you operate in an authentic spirit of counsel, it's kind of different to have to trade places. You know, it can be awkward. People like, we come to y'all for counsel and for support. You know, what are we supposed to do? But don't be intimidated. Don't be intimidated by, because the Lord, now I'm going to tell y'all right now, many of y'all, if y'all know my wife, it's an excellent chance you know me. The Lord don't speak to everybody. So, you know, we're not looking for the whole world. Just, I guess in a way, there's got to be some people that the Lord has assigned. And like I said, there's some people we're immensely grateful for. But yeah, I don't know. This is the kind of talking that happens when you're going through what we're going through. Is there an air of uncertainty out there, beloved? It's because this is surreal, and there's no script, there's no book. We're just really feel like that in the middle of this, however few or however many people witness and see this, that in the middle of this pain, maybe something can be said where people can either relate. Hopefully this is coming across as real and down to earth. And prayer is that God can somehow get the glory, irrespective of, I mean, can I say it? It's like, you know, can God be uplifted, and can someone be directed towards His great power and His grace, even in the middle of a nightmare?
I guess we shall see, because we keep chugging along. It feels like a little train that, you know, I think I can, but it's I think it's very interesting, because I don't know if I'm going through a stage of not dealing in reality, because I it doesn't seem real, but on the other hand, I know it's real. But so just so you guys understand, our son, he was very protective of his sisters, very protective of his sisters. Loved his children immensely. I mean, he loved his babies. Like I often told him, I'm like, I'm just so proud of you. I'm so proud of the father that you are, the man that you are.
He loved his wife.
Yes, yep. He loved his wife. Very protective. You know, his family. That was just what he lived for. He the relationship that he had, I think, with my husband and myself. Like there would never go a time of like 2 days that we didn't hear from him, ever. That just didn't happen. He was talking to his parents, you know, checking in, showing up at the door, you know. um, he was always present. And you know, with your kids, I think everybody had, you know, you have a different relationship with each child. And like my oldest, you know, she it's like a week, and if it starts to go into like the second week that I haven't talked to her, then I'm just like, look here, I'm reaching out like, what is going on? And she's like, Mom, I'm sorry, I love you, but I'm working and I'm just so busy, and that's her. My youngest, she lives with us, so she of course has no choice, but she's every day she's we're talking. And the thing is, like, when my son, he moved out, he got married, there's still, we is almost either every day or every other day. If he was extremely busy and bogged down, um, I was getting a text, a phone call, FaceTime. He was showing up somehow, some way. Um, we were always communicating. So now, um, I don't have that. And it's like I get, like, I'm just doing like a simple, like, hitting like the FaceTime button, and it goes to the people that I, talk to the most. And then my son, my son's name shows up. Um, he's driven my car, so you turn on, your car playing, you're connected to the car, and right there, my son's name, so everywhere I look, everything that I do, um, he's connected. And with even with church, so he was a part of every aspect of our lives. And it's like I miss not just my son, but I miss my friend. um it's like, we in Bible study supposed to be paying attention, but we were paying attention. But we have like a group chat between my son, myself, and my youngest daughter, and it's like, every Wednesday we were sending little memes or something, because of course my husband's up there teaching or answering a question, and we just get a kick out of some of the stuff that he says. So we just sending memes back and forth, and just cracking up, trying not to laugh out loud and get in trouble. But it honestly, he was the sound man for the ministry. He did the audio and video um, recordings, and he's a musician in his own right. He was a drummer, but he played the bass. He was tinkling on the keys. He could sing. Music. Yeah, and it's hard, even going into the church, because everything is a reminder, and his absence is so strong. And our kids grew up in church, so it's like they have, what I mean, like your church family is very close knit, because we're a smaller ministry, but our kids all like grew up together. So people that have known him before I was even pregnant with him, so they've seen him from coming into this world until the age of 27. And it's like, they are feeling the grief and the emotions, just like as if they were his real aunts and uncles and cousins, because you go to church like what, three we used to be good 4 or 5 days a week. How many days a week? It was a lot when our kids were younger. So they were seeing, each, all your parishioners, church family, 3 or 4 days a week for years. You know what I mean? So that's sometimes closer even than like your family. And they're grieving, but people don't understand, like, well, that he wasn't your blood. Why are you struggling? You know, and it's interesting how people, I guess, who haven't experienced life like that, and they don't understand. But my son, he never wanted to see somebody hurting. And he would crack jokes at the most inopportune times, because he wanted people to smile and to laugh, and not to feel um, the pain and the suffering. And he was like that ever, since he came into this world. He had so much love and compassion and empathy for people. And he's the one, I'm like, little boy, let me tell you, you don't let nobody bully you. And but mom, yeah, I know, but like getting him to stick up for himself, I'm like, good God, boy, come on. But he had a heart for people, and he loved God, and I think that's the only comfort that I think I have, as far as knowing that how much he loved God. Um, because there's times he was stricter than us. Oh boy, mom, that dress is too short. Mom, which that's too tight. And I'm like, boy, you want us walking around in burlap bags and trying, with doilies on our head. Like that's how he was. And it's like he came into this world just with this very old old soul, but antiquated thinking at times, because he truly believed that I'm not gonna say that anyway. That boy, he was quite interesting. He was funny. um and I miss him. And regardless of the age, losing a child puts a strain on marriages. You would think that it's just like my husband was saying, that it's just like, when the kids are younger. And no, um, yeah, I don't think it matters what age. That Sorry, y'all, fight bugs. What age your child is, that's your child. And you love them. Like, that don't change just because you two, or 15 or 28 or 52. That's your child. Um, I carried him for 8 months. Yes, I know it's supposed to be 9. He came early. I carried that boy for 8 months, and to lose a child is it's quite challenging. And I guess I could, if I sit and think, but the strain that it puts on the marriage, and I'm trying to pinpoint, like, maybe the whys. Why does it put a strain on? And I don't know, maybe if, like, the differences in the grieving process, um may be an additive. um Communication is strained. And I think that, for myself, I've become very anxious. I'm very sad, and I don't know if I am reactive to things, where I just need to calm down. And I think my process, I'll be very honest, I feel like my processing of information is not um there. It's almost like I'm fighting through a fog, trying to understand what's being said to me, process what's being said to me, or the things that are being asked of me. Um, and I mean, that's just me pinpointing some things that I think of at this point in time. But it's very interesting that it puts such a strain on relationships because I don't know.
The pain and the grief isolates you, and it pits you not against the closest ones to you alone. It pits you against everything, because there's no greater point of time that I've experienced where you feel all alone.
And angry.
Yeah, in a room.
But it's like I'm not particularly angry with you. I'm just
Period.
angry. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can, I mean, you could be in a room full of people. We just got through talking about every room of the house being full of well wishers and people offering their condolences, and you just, irrespective of whether it's true or not, it's not a whole lot that you feel like can relate with what you're going through.
Right. Well, that's true.
So that's why I say the pain and the grief, it isolates you. You know, and people walk on eggshells because they don't want to say or do the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about people from an external premise. I'm talking about people in the same household.
Yeah.
You know, and you overtly sensitive, because if you're good people, if you practice golden rule and things of that nature, you know that if you love people and they're experiencing from their vantage point the same thing that you're experiencing, then you try to be sensitive to that.
Right.
But then it's a mess. I mean, you know, y'all out there, and I can't profess to know what's in other people's heart, but people out there writing songs that eventually become hits that inspire. I'm not saying it ain't genuine or whatever like that, but there's no inspiration to write any songs. And it's just, you know, Lord help me to hold out. So, yeah, it can put a strain on everything. You and I'm gonna be honest, beloved. Kind of wish that I was financially wealthy, because then you can just go somewhere, but that isn't necessarily healthy. All right. Grief counselor, I went right back to work, and they said that's a good thing, because if you don't get back to work at some point, people struggle to get back to work. I was glad to hear that, because quiet times are hard. But if I just didn't have to worry about anything or anyone tangibly, probably go somewhere, put a chair on the beach, just watch the wave crash in the water, and probably far too long. So, you know, it just inadvertently isolates you, because everybody's not going through the same experiences at the same time. And, you know, you think that you would pull together, and, you know, there's plenty of movies that deal with love and intimacy and support, and all of that is fine. But what do you do with the feelings that when you're angry, and when you're upset, and when you're hurt, when you're in agony, that you, frankly, no offense, don't want to be bothered by anybody?
Right. No, you're right.
We just on here trying to keep it real and be honest, man.
No,
you know, It's like, you know, we're not. I'm not showing up here. She's got a great work, and she's poured out some important information, but I'm not here to try to get Lady Jim's followers up.
Yeah, no.
You know, we're not gonna ask for no offering after this. Listen, we just
trying to be honest.
Yeah.
And you know,
Those of y'all out there who going through the same thing, we can relate.
yeah.
We can relate.
Um,
We can relate.
so I personally, I could not go back to work. It took me some time because I honestly, I think I probably just now stopped crying like
Every day.
um, several times a day. You know, knowing my son and understanding that he would not want us to feel the way that we're feeling. Of course, he would want us, to miss him. But the pain, there's no way that he would want us to feel this, and there's no way that he wouldn't want us to smile again. Um, because that's who he is, you know. But I couldn't go back to work. My job was very stressful. I was very bitter against the job because I felt like it took a lot of time away from where I could have been spending more time with my son. And there's times that I'm thinking that he would call and this dumb job, yeah, it may pay the bills, but it. I was working like 7:30 in the morning to sometimes 11, 12 at night, like trying to get stuff done, and I missed out on like taking time to talk to him when he called, or like if he came by. There's times I didn't get a chance to see him, and that made me upset. I'm not gonna lie, I can't candy coat. So I was bitter, and I did not want to come back to that job. I eventually did go back to work, and it. I was very anxious, stressed, and just feeling like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do this. Where my husband, total opposite, that actually added on another job. Um, Episodes, and hopefully, my precious husband will come back again, and we can just kind of finish talking, um, and you guys just hearing the real of what we're going through, and how we're feeling, and then maybe it might give you a little bit of hope that you can make it past a week or 2 weeks or a month, which we really didn't feel like we were going to be able to do. So we will hopefully have you guys come back and hear the remaining episode and episodes soon. All right, tell them bye, baby.
If I can say this before we close, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. But I'm sorry that this didn't end with a but God. Our but God is that we're still sane.
Right.
And that we
somewhat.
Yeah, and then with me, people would question that in altogether before this happened, but that we're still loving, we're still trusting, and yeah, man, keep us in prayer, and thank you guys.
All right, we're leaving out. Have a great one.